why do you think it's important that both HR leaders and HR professionals are data fluent for themselves and the organization?
You would agree that most organizations are undergoing a digital transformation, right? I haven't met a company in the last 5 years that isn't going through one. Our business or our company is no exception. And we are investing more and more in data and digital tools. And I'm talking about the business units specifically. That will eventually help our farmers and growers and distributors across the world make better decisions. So it's more about helping them to make the right decision around soil, around their crops, about climate, more than just bringing the right product to them. So if the organization is getting to a point where we are using data and technology to help farmers make better decisions, HR as a function cannot lag behind. And if we were to operate in the same ecosystem, we cannot be a function where we are still not data literate, or we are not using data in our day-to-day work, or we cannot speak the language. So in order to be in the same system and operate hand in hand, HR has to be data fluent. So that's number one. Also, just from the HR functions perspective, the tools and technologies that we are investing in, we cannot get the full value unless we, the users, are data savvy or we are able to think analytically. So in order to get the full ROI of all the tools and technology that we are investing in, we absolutely have to invest in the users being more data fluent. And then third, it really helps HR professionals be part of strategic discussions, because in one of the analyses we ran a year and a half back, it was about understanding the predictors of sales performance. So what predicts better sales performance, but mostly people-related predictors. And what we found was when we were presenting it to the business team, our HRBP sent us a separate message later saying, this was the first time that we were part of a strategic sales discussion as HR. So if we want to do that more and more, we should be data fluent, and we are in a position where we offer unique insights based on the people data that we have access to. So we need to be part of the strategic discussions, and in order to do that, we have to be data fluent. I don't think there is a question anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. I mean, you will have seen this obviously prior to working at Syngenta when you were at Deloitte. There's been sort of move, isn't there, a gradual progression really with HR leaders, particularly CHROs, their desire to have a data fluent HR function. And, research we did last year at Insight 222, in fact, 90% of CHROs in the organizations that we studied regard people data analytics now as an essential part of HR strategy, but then only 42% currently have a data-driven culture for people data and analytics. So it's definitely a work in progress, and I know obviously it's been a work in progress at Syngenta for the last couple of years as well. But really to the next question, obviously you're a people analytics leader, and I'll reveal an insight from the research as well after you've spoken, but why is it so important as a people analytics leader or people analytics professional listening to this that we help our colleagues in HR become more comfortable with data?
I fundamentally believe that the success of people insights and analytics team lies or depends on data literacy of the entire function. And if you remember, David, the industry study that we published a few years back at Deloitte also said the same thing, that in order for the people analytics team to be successful, we need the entire function to be data fluent. Now, by data fluent, I don't mean they need to be PhDs in statistics or all of them need to run regressions, but they should be able to read dashboards. They should be able to think analytically. They should be able to understand what's the difference between data and anecdotal data. So, for example, time and again, we have found that we may have the best dashboards ever, but if the users are not data driven, or if they're not wanting to see data that is aggregated or that gives a different slice and dice than what they already have, we are not going to be successful. If we don't have users going to the dashboards, no amount of advanced dashboards is going to move the needle, right? So that's one. The other thing that we keep encountering is when HRBPs especially are data driven, they make the connection between business problems and the people insights and analytics team centrally. So for example, a year back, we had this particular instance where there was a need to study collaboration patterns, and the head HRBP at that point for that business unit actually said, so how are we going to measure if we are successfully collaborating or not? For that, we need real data instead of just a few leaders saying that, yeah, I think people are collaborating. So that HRBP particularly formed the connection between our team and the business unit, and that led to an org network analysis pilot study that we did with the business unit. So it's really critical that HRBPs, especially whole HR function ideally, are data literate to form those important connections and raise the right questions in the strategic discussions happening in the businesses.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.